course is now starting. Chapter 4, my operation. Let's get into it. Boom, boom. All right, we're back in the book here. Chapter 4, my operation. Let's get straight into it. So here's a picture of me looking over the Vicksburg Bridge. Vicksburg, Mississippi, over the Mississippi River. Love that spot. All right, here we go. Chapter 4. So here I'm running down a list of things that I do in my operation that sets my operation unique. So straight from the top, I have my own authority. I have my insurance costs down to around $12,000 per year. I own and have the title to both my truck and trailer, which is a 2000 Volvo mid-roof 64T and an all-steel 1999 Fontaine flatbed trailer with a wood floor. I run a pre-emissions motor, which is a Cummins N14 435 horsepower. I run 3.73 gears, which puts me at 1450 to 1500 RPMs at my cruising speed of 60 to 62 miles per hour. My house and land is paid for. I paid cash for it back in 2016 when I was 26. I booked 95% of my freight off truckstop.com, right? And the other 5%, the other 5% comes from DAT and customer load boards, like this one I have highlighted here for ATS. And really at the time of this recording, I don't even use DAT anymore. So, for the record. I do not use a factoring company. I bill my customers direct with here's the link to the QuickBooks app I use, and it's only like $10 a month. Very nice. I'm set up to receive my invoice payments at probably 40% ACH and 60% paper check in the mail. Yep, like here's one I just got in, from BTC. I capture my BOLs and my proof of deliveries with an app called Tiny Scanner. It's a great app. It's like a one-time cost of $5 or so, and it will convert photos taken into really nice PDF files that impress our broker customers. Okay, so I saved this PDF file into files in my iPad. I use my iPad to do a lot of my truck billing and paperwork, iPad Pro. So if you do not use Apple products, you'll just have to use some type of equivalent cloud type memory, maybe like Google Drive or something of that nature, so that once you save your PDF file, you can save it into a convenient place where you can pull it back up into QuickBooks and bill your customer. Once I have the PDF in files, I can link it into my invoice, right, on QuickBooks. I do 50 to 80% of my own maintenance. I do my own oil changes and grease. Still do. I might start paying somebody to do it sometime soon, but they have to do it just right. My company's name, I am structured as an LLC, and I do my taxes as a plain pass-through entity, LLC. Though I may go in the direction of getting taxed as an S corp later on. I keep on saying that I will, but I never really do. But definitely, if you plan to grow your fleet into multiple trucks, it'd probably be more wise to look into getting taxed as an S corp, so you pay a little less on Medicaid, Social Security, but it comes with more regulation and more more record keeping to take that classification. So as far as taxes goes, what I do is I collect all my business related receipts in a 5-gallon Ziploc bag with me over the road. I got this big Ziploc bag, and I just stuff all my receipts into it out of the sun, so they don't get the ink doesn't dry up. Then I come home and I put them into another 5-gallon Ziploc, which I keep in my office. Then when the first or second week of January comes around, I take that time off and I just spread all my receipts out onto my bed and into categories. And then I add up each category with a printing calculator. Then I put each category into its own file folder. Then I file it into my file cabinet. So say 2021, I'll probably have 20 different folders: maintenance, repairs, parts, insurance, and each one will have its own folder, and it'll be sectioned. And we'll talk about it more in the taxes section. I file my own IFTA reports. I go into my DMV every year with the required paperwork and pay cash for my IRP. And as I mentioned earlier, this is something that looks like we're being able to do online now because of them not wanting us to come inside of places. I pay for my tolls through iPass. This is the Illinois version of Easy Pass. In my opinion, it was way easier to get a commercial transponder, and the website is very user friendly. It's easy to log in, set up a credit card, load it with money and all that good stuff. One-time fee for the transponder, and they send it straight to your house. I buy all my fuel with NASTech fuel card, right? I'm a NASTech member, and this costs around $250 to $350 a year. These are great fuel discounts, and we'll talk about that in another chapter in detail. Which fuel card do I use? But for the record, it's NASTech. I fuel almost exclusively at T8 Petro. I use the Keep Trucking ELD and their dash cams. Pretty nice stuff. I use this website right here. Here's the link: brokercreditcheck.com and Credit Stop Shipper, powered by Ansonia, to credit check my new customers. I cross-reference these two sources and aim to have my customer down to 30 to 37 days to pay, no more than that. More on this later in my How I Credit Check New Customers chapter. I do not use pre-pass. It's not a negative thing to use. I just think as a new carrier, you will get pulled in for more inspections when your transponder pops up on their computer and they see that you are a new company and haven't had many inspections. So I just roll off my first impressions. I have very clean, organized decals on my truck and trailer that are not crooked. Gotta look like something out here. I never have a messy dashboard. I'm very enthusiastic most of the time, and make great deals with brokers and everyone I meet and do business with, even though sometimes I have to amp myself up to get into the deal making spirit. But we stand my ground in a likable way. I keep my overhead cost as low as possible. Remember, that's why we talked about overhead earlier in the very first chapters, because overhead is a word we use a lot in business. How much does it cost you to run your business? That's your overhead. I don't often buy stuff that I don't need. My wife and family, we are very frugal. We're pretty frugal. Pretty frugal people. At least we have been over the years to get to this point. They make their own money. My wife does. Oh yeah, it's awesome. And she makes her own, and she saves her money really well. She doesn't blow her money, and my wife, she doesn't spend money irresponsibly behind my back. Come on. This would create financial stress, for sure. She is also very grateful and patient. She's not driven to live too materialistic or outside of our means. And we will talk about why this is so important in my home life and budgeting chapter. My home bills are like $5,000 a year, and my trucking bills are $15,000 per year. If I don't move my truck 1 mile, my bills will cost me this: $5,000 for home, $5,000 for business, $5,000 for home bills. I'm a firm believer in work smarter and not harder. All right, make sure this is still recording. Cool. Page 11. I average 300 to 500 miles driving per day when I'm out. 1,500 to 2,500 miles a week. I'm usually at a very relaxed, enjoyable pace. Some days I do drive 600 miles when the job really calls for it. But most of the time, I'm driving, it's smarter and not harder. Why would I put more wear and tear on my equipment and stress on me if I don't have to? I usually do shorter loads through the week, 200 to 800 miles. Like the load picks up and it's got a 200 miles to the delivery, or 300 miles or 500 miles. And I look to do $2,500 or more on my gross for my weekend load, which will probably be more around 800 to 1,500 miles. Sometimes I do those really long hauls. So I always, so that, you see how that one works? Usually what I'm doing is short loads through the week. Pick up Monday, deliver Tuesday. Pick Tuesday, deliver Wednesday. Pick Wednesday, deliver Friday. Pick Friday, deliver Monday. So I just want to be in the right place at the right time for Friday, so I can make a great load over the weekend to start off strong again. I always aim to make $3,000 to $5,000 simple net per week after I pay for fuel. This is what I call simple net, right? My gross minus what I pay for in fuel. I aim for no less than $3,000 a week. And I always strive to do more than $5,000 a week. And many times, I do. I drive 60 to 62 miles an hour. Sometimes I drive faster if the situation calls for it. The main thing is I ride the momentum of the hills. I work with gravity and not against it. What I mean by this is, yes, I drive 62 miles an hour, but I'm not going to force my motor and driveline to maintain 62 miles an hour all the way up a hill. I will slowly ease off the pedal as the incline starts to take over, and dropping gears to keep my RPMs up at that 14 to 1500 RPM, depending on gear ratio, right? In order to take what? Stress off of my motor and driveline. The more we let the motor lug down into the low RPMs, the more stress and we're putting on the motor, transmission, driveline. By driving 60 to 62 miles an hour, I'm almost always by myself on the road, so I have a big cushion around me. You won't catch me tailgating and following too close in a pack. This mentality alone gets me out of 95% of the potential situations that will result in a crash or an accident. I carry a lot of different tools, spare sensors, hoses, fluids, and parts. I have the Cummins mechanic book for my motor. I keep it in my truck. This motor is specific to my motor's electrical and mechanical maintenance, and will show step-by-step procedures and troubleshooting of how to fix stuff. This is the same book they use in the big shops. I keep one in the truck with me. So if I get to a certain job, or I need to know a certain thing, or I look at a wiring diagram, I got it all in this book. I use Bridgestone 283As 22.5 for my steers. I use Michelin XDN 2s 22.5 on my drives. And for my spread axle, I use Duraturn DA30s 24.5 if I can get them. And then I use some other decent tires on my last axle. But the Duraturns is what I love to use on all trailer tire positions if I can get them. It's a $200 to $250 tire, but it is a very solid tire. It's incredible. It puts up with the abuse of my spread axle far better than even higher up name brand tires have. And that's the Duraturn DA30. If you can get them, it's a tough tire. It does really well on the spread axle. I use this product called Brake Safe. Cool product. Definitely recommend looking them up. They're based out of Canada. Brake Safe. Visual brake stroke indicators on every position. This really helps me stay on top of my brake stroke measurements. I can put a board against my chair and brake pedal, like squeeze scoot my chair up and squeeze the pedal in between my brakes so my brake is being applied, and I can just walk around and check all my brake strokes within 5 minutes. I'll be like, okay, in adjustment, because the brake stroke measures the stroke. Really cool. And fairly cheap. I got a whole setup for truck and trailer for less than $200. I use TST tire pressure sensors on every tire. So when we're the ones paying for tires, we better be keeping those tires within 2 to 5 pounds of each other. Yep, these tire pressure sensors are a great way to do this. Also, they are great in catching weather and seasonal air pressure changes because of the drop or increase in outside temperature, right? So the difference between winter and summer, we might have more air in the winter tire than in the summertime. It'll be overinflated because the heat expands. Same thing when we go into winter, we'll have a overexpanded tire that at cold temperature it'll probably need air back in it for the winter temperatures. So that's something to keep in mind with tires. We need to check them once you get good into a new season to make sure to see if you need to add or subtract. I have a very nice mattress in my truck. Yep. When I bought it, it was the same price as Tempur-Pedic. So you're the boss, right? You want to make, you're the one out here making it happen. So you want to make sure that you have a great mattress that will reward your body with replenishing sleep. We spend a lot of time in the bed, so to speak. So it's just my opinion that we should put some of that money that we're making into getting a very nice, spine pleasing mattress that will keep us like a rubber band and springing with morale in the morning. Because there's no sense that we should be driving a $60,000 truck and sleeping on a $100 mattress. It's crazy. So right here it says, I don't hang out in the truck stops listening to all the crying and complaining, but I will listen to someone if we are talking business and are trading our trade secrets. If I have time, which I often do, I will stop and ask the person with their hood up if they need a hand or if they need some tools. This is true trucking culture and just positive people culture in general, right? Sometimes you end up getting some great tips, ideas, and lessons about how to fix things, business, and life in general. I always keep God first and what I want always in mind. I take discipline of my subconscious mind. I do not let it drift off into being an enemy of mine. It's so much of a habit now to focus on what I want. It is like second nature. It is automatic, right? I don't run to a dealership or to the shops every time I get a little issue. I always see what I can do about it first. And if I do go into a shop, very rarely will I let the shop tell me what I need done, unless I really need their help in diagnosing. And even then, they have to convince me very well, because I know enough now that if you are not convincing me, you're probably just throwing parts at it. I don't overpay for food and drinks at the truck stops. I pack and store 75% of my own food, give or take. I buy spring water by the gallon. Not only do I save money, but my food is many times more healthy than what I can usually get out of a truck stop. If I could find some decent vegan food when I'm out and about, I might eat out once a day or two, like a Chipotle or Moe's or something like that. If a good eating spot isn't convenient to me that day, I'll just wait and eat what I have in my truck. When I drink coffee or tea, I mostly make my own. It's way cheaper and affordable, and I get to control the quality of the water. Spring water and organic coffee grounds are a lot better of an alternative than fluoridated tap water with pesticide coffee beans in the truck stop. I don't let negative energy or people into my mind or into my life. Got to protect that mental space. This is the foundation of my operation. I could go on, but then I'd be getting more into what I use and how I do certain things, which is a slight deviation from what my operation is. Many of these points on my operation will be further discussed in detail as we go further. But I wanted to give you a running list of what my real actual operation is and what it looks like. If I knew I could run a finely tuned machine like this early on, I would have spent less time chasing my tail and more time getting to it in the ways that I do now. Think about it. You only paid whatever you paid for. for this book, right? Even if you only get one good point from it, one great mentality restructure, only one method of improvement, my book will have paid for itself many times more. This is 10 years of dedication, 10 years of self-education, 10 years of trial and error, 10 years of feeling my way through it. It takes knowledge, common sense, and experience to even think about putting an operation like mine together. Am I the only one that runs like this? No. But very rarely do I come across people with a more fine-tuned operation. Unless you have a successful owner-operator in your family, you just don't wake up overnight knowing all this stuff and how it all fits and works together. But now you can, in a major way, take where I'm at now and directly apply it to you, or as they say, reverse engineer it. At the very least, let my confidence and discipline rub off onto you. I love where I'm at in life right now, and I want you to as well. You believed in yourself, and you believed in me enough to agree to do this deal. A deal that I will deliver you what I know about being successful in trucking, and that you will continue to achieve bigger and further things with the access and implementation of this knowledge. You must continue to put this knowledge into action if you want it to benefit you. Knowledge is not power. The implementation of knowledge is power. Don't forget this.